the reason it has to come to a head in what was originally supposed to do is some sort of civil war is that's not something that can change. That's something that has to break.
Yeah.
And so one half or the other of the wishbone's got to win.
But the other thing is, I think I found out why Dove and Opaque were working together.
At some point.
Yes. The Titans found souls. They didn't make souls.
Yeah, they found them when they went into the realm. When they explored the place, they found those beings.
And Aeonic creations are largely, I don't want to say mindless, but very singular in focus.
Aeonic or Titan?
Aeonic. Like giants are just murder machines.
Aeonic creations are obviously like
Humans,
human,
but they're weird.
They are They are a branch from the actual Aeon.
Yes.
They're more like when we hear about we're born from the gods. The Titans are like, and the Anaku, for instance, are like, no, we were here, but they came and gave us purpose.
And they gave us form.
As much as they can, even though they really didn't. They just used them, as we know. But yeah, like, they give it like that with the Aeon and their own creations. Now,
which explains why Aeonic beings tend to degrade in the age without gods.
Yeah. And that's why they need them so much, too, when it comes to, like, the opaque problem that's kind of happening at Drana.
And at some point you described that Anaku experience reincarnation, in the sense that there's almost like a finite amount of them.
Yeah, that's what I kind of felt like, and I was like, their lives to me, it's like kind of foggy. You know, it's like...
Which is why, as they've been whittled down, they've actually gotten somewhat more capable, but it's fleeting because there's nothing to sustain it anymore.
They understand what they've had before. I imagine like a reincarnation, but you can kind of keep some of the memories so you can keep progressing your civilization that way, whereas mankind does it the way we understand it.
And as they understand it, the real in-the-know Anaku understand that humankind is somehow sapping the life from them.
Yes.
But we don't have any humans actively performing some sort of succubusory ritual thing.
Yeah, like not.
I know why this is happening.
Why they're being...
Why the life force is being pulled from the Anaku into humankind.
Through the... Okay, let me hear what you think.
Dove and Oapake got together. Oapake is trying to make a being, but he knows these beings are only... They're like, in terms of an Aeon, without the Aeon to guide the giants, they're puppets without strings, essentially. They're very lost.
Mm-hmm.
They don't quite know what to do. They don't have a sense of self about that. So what Oapake was trying to do, because he's a nut and a madman and a being of true love, that's what he wanted. A true set of children needed them to have souls.
Yep. Truly
individual souls. So he had to strike the balance between an Aeonic being that won't die with necessarily its surroundings. If you surround a fucking Anaku with concrete, it withers up and dies. If you surround a human with anything, they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But he needed it to be able to do it without him pulling the strings so much. So that if it gave a shit, or if it didn't give a shit, that was a genuine expression. This was his artistic expression of creation. And he couldn't make that on his own. So what he did was...
Dove couldn't or Oapake couldn't?
Oapake couldn't.
Okay.
So he asked Dove to help him use these souls that he knows are just swirling around the rock waiting for a turn, give them a little bit of Aeonic essence, the individuality, the little bit of separation, and you get this halfway point. This thing that's of the earth, but independent of it. Which is why the Ludenese Anaku know they're dying and are okay with it. Because as far as they're concerned in a spiritual sense...
It's all the same.
It's all the same. It's all the fucking same. Less humans, more Anaku. More humans, less Anaku. They're the same.
The extreme opposite is it's a bastardization. It's like
Supernia.
Not right. Yeah.
We're being turned into these fucking things instead of being the perfect beings we are.
They're not fading from existence. They're fading into an Aeon.
Yes.
Okay.
Because that's how we described Oapake, is he's weird for an Aeon, he's light with a touch of dark. And Dove is weird for a Titan, he's dark with a touch of light.
Yeah, they're like halfway points of what
They've touched each other.
Yeah, they stand out opposed to their like comrades, if you will. Like that's where they're different. They're like on a different line, if you will.
And I got thinking about the war between the Aeons and the Titans. I'm like, what if at some point the lines in that war blurred? What if the five we talk about, being Oapake,
Aik Beovak,
Beovak, Dove,
uh-huh.
Thys, and Teresia?
I don't know how to. I've been saying Thersia, Thersian, Teresa.
I started throwing X's into everybody's names just because it felt cool, so I'll come up with something for her in Southern speak. What if these five were at some point a collection of people, one of many possible occurrences that happened in this war, who are no longer aligned based on Aeon and Titan, but aligned based on what did he really mean for us to do? What did our cryptic poet God really send us here to do?
Yeah.
And so what they did was they made mankind, they made Dizarine, they made etc. But Thys wanted it all for himself. Thys was greedy. So he turns slowly, one at a time, turns on them. And I figured out why the Slop King is doing what he's doing as well, I think. The Slop King is the first victim of the Whisper. His brother disappeared. Dove disappeared. The first lie he hears is, they've left you behind. They've gone home. He's fighting for survival. He thinks he's been abandoned. He's not bad. He just doesn't have he doesn't know what else to do. He's totally alone out there. Theresia has been banished to the moon. Even if he sees her, she's full of rage. And I thought that one through too. I was like, the Forgotten King is like such a fucking chill guy, like 90% of the time, except for when he's talking to Southerners. Like he touches Eris, and Eris is like, I understand everything.
Mm-hmm.
It'll all be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have a job to do. He touches Alistair, and he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and just like these could definitely be aspects, but it would be inconsistent of him. It would be as if he's regularly having manic episodes. Which again could be a thing, he's in a realm of madness. But that would be very consistently angry. To always communicate rage to these people. That would be almost too consistently angry for madness.
Well, you speak to someone the way that they understand. He's, by all rights, he's a higher being than mankind.
But I found another funner answer. It's Theresia. Southerners worship the moon. They view her like mother. They view her almost next to the Forgotten King himself. It's probably the only religious point of contention in terms of a grand detail that they have in contention with Adrana and the Chantry, is that they view these guys as worshipping Theresia. And they do, and that's why they act the way they do. Theresia is fucking pissed.
Mm-hmm.
She knows what they did to her husband, and she wants to get him back for it. The thing is, she's not pissed like kill everybody who was responsible. She doesn't want to wipe out Tantorum because she knows Tan was lied to. This little retard fucking new thing, it had no concept. It had no clue. She wants Thys.
So, the idea that Thys betrayed them all stays. The idea that he tricked the Forgotten King that his wife died and was killed stays, except she was banished. When he tries to save her, that stays in the lore still. When he has to... when he has Aik Beovak in those throes of feeling that way, he manipulates him to betraying his brother, to which he curses his brother. That all will still happen. You're just trying to give some purpose to it. Can you, from the beginning, kind of lay it on me and with everything that you know, so it's on record?
So the Titans show up, they find Earth, they make Anaku, they create this perfect self-sustaining, harmonious thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of by their nature. They create herbivores, they create things of perfect harmony. Perfect cycle.
Yeah.
And they draw power from the worship. They find it, they stay for a while, they draw power from the worship. God sees it, goes, nah, that's not right. And sends the Aeons. The Aeons are the exact opposite. They're bright, they burn hot, they burn fast, they're destructive, they're entropic, they're unconsidering of their environments. And they make a bunch of things on the planet to counteract what they've done. Because in an arm wrestling match between an angel and an angel, you're going to be locked in place for a while. So what they got to target is their footing. The Anaku, giants, fucking Dizarine, fucking bearded pygmy, fucking da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. All that war is going on. But over time, some of them go, what the fuck is the point of what we're doing right now? This thing has been found that has potential and we're wiping it out. So he told us to fix it. He didn't tell us to break it.
Right.
He didn't tell us to wipe it out. He told us to fix the problem. That was our orders. Your orders were make it right. Our orders were fix it. What the fuck? Why?
So it was like a reprieve moment, if you will.
Right. So Aek Beovac, Oapake, Dove, Thys, Theresia, and maybe somebody else, maybe other people.
Others, yeah. Because we have the other people that make aeonic creations and stuff.
Maybe some of them sat down and said, "Let's do this right."
A truce, a peace, like a kind of a like, let's set it right. We work for the same purpose.
And there's gonna be some hell afterward, but if we do it right, it'll fix itself. Mankind starts sweeping across the planet. Mankind takes over the Trinity Forest, the start of it all, the most sacred of places, and starts just dominating the space. Not necessarily by violence, but by merit of being what they are.
But the mankind was not birthed until after the Forgotten King's imprisonment in the Tree of Life, because that's when Quinlan finds, because that's his storyline. He stumbles upon the embryo of these people becoming something, and his story will always be his purpose was to destroy them. We never did. So just keep that in mind.
Okay, perfect. So mankind is released by a sympathetic creature, and it then starts setting about doing everything it was designed to do. This is after, but okay, we skipped ahead. Let me cut back. Thys, jealous, greedy. Thys sees all that's about to happen and says, well, what he's making, what those two are making, and it's really more tied to him than him, he's a fool, Dove.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's going to fade into some relative obscurity underneath this guy. It's going to be all about this guy.
So he's kind of like, it's our race, not their race.
Yeah.
And Dove is kind of being a cuck in a way, or he's kind of being like,
he's accepted a second place role to it.
Yeah, and then that would anger Thys, and perhaps he has a close relationship with Dove. Would be easy enough to say that.
They're both Titans?
They are, but maybe they're brothers or something.
Right.
Maybe they're real fucking close.
And he starts whispering doubt into Dove's mind. But Dove doesn't buy it, because here's Beovac doing the exact same thing. And Aeon accepting second fiddle. Because he thinks it's right. Because this is the man with a plan. We're listening to him. We're running interference. We're trying to settle things down. We're trying to pave the way. It's like the lead singer, the guitarist, and the bassist. The bassist is like, I know nobody's looking at me, but without me,
yeah, I know, right?
What do you got?
Mm.
He's a good bassist.
Yeah.
Or Dove is, I'm sorry. Beovac is the guitarist. He feels a little bit jealous.
But he's willing to work with the lead singer.
Yes.
But he needs to have his own light.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then doubt starts getting whispered into his mind.
By Thys?
Thys, who is the rhythm guitarist, feels totally left out of the process. And Theresia is the drummer, I guess.
Keyboard player.
Yep. Just happy to fucking be here. So Aek Beovac sort of quietly allows that jealousy and that doubt to seed in his mind. He doesn't do anything rash, but he's not paying attention like he should be. And then Thys banishes Theresia to the moon.
That's the moment to which it's like he's hatched a plan. It's been in the motion.
He's
had it work, and then that's it. It's now or never. It's getting rid of the Forgotten King. It's stopping this weird thing that they're trying to make, this mankind, whatever the fuck that is. that would be the moment which he's trying to stop it. That's the height of the War of the Gods.
Because what he's doing is he's creating an endless, near unexterminable vermin to power him. The Titans are playing by rules.
Depends on how you look at it. And then, yeah, it would, in your eyes, it would make that... I would think that makes sense, of course. Like, he's just like... He wanted us all to chill out so he can have the ultimate power over here.
Yep, and it's truly that. The worship of a being with no fences. Endless expanse. It'll carry you to the next continent itself. You don't have to make a damn thing over there. It'll make itself.
That's why the world's not finished.
Huh. Banishes Theresia to the moon, which is...
Because she probably was going to, like, outstay him, or she might have knew about something, you know what I mean?
She's actually the strongest of all of them.
Yeah.
That's why she made the South.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I bet, like, she was the biggest threat.
By far.
And if he's like, but at the same time, I could use this opportunity and trick the Forgotten King and lie. And if I get him to focus his attention away from that and on her, all the weaker he'll be for me to finally destroy him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So he jumps Theresia, hatches his plan. Eok Beovoc helps him. They overpower Theresia, banish her to the moon.
Lie and say she dies.
Lie and say she dies. The king is taken by grief, betrayed by his own creation with Theseus' whisper.
He goes searching through the realms, and like the astral strings that lead back to the universe, and and the God. He's gone. His physical body is there in meditative state, but he's in searching and trying to find where her astral body went, but she's not there. She's gone, and that's when he was at his weakest.
And then he is betrayed. Beovoc curses the king and binds him to Kramos, so that way when his physical body is killed shortly thereafter, he's now stuck somewhere else altogether. He's imprisoned.
Because you remember, Theseus is the one that destroyed the bridge back to the realm too, later.
Beovoc unknowingly also curses himself. Putting a curse on his brother, he suffered similar fate, now bound to the rock he was on.
Like the Emperor.
You know? And then we have Dove. Dove, the only one who's left, is the only one I don't know where he's at.
Hiding.
Hiding where?
Well, lore-wise, there are a couple of things, I mean, that are known. So, like, one, the weirdness of the Hefel, right? There's, I think I talked to you about it, and I did it in the video. They're like, are they bearded pygmy? They say they are. They say they are derived from that, but, like, there's no proof of that, right?
Right.
It's like when you find ruins in Turkey of, like, Göbekli Tepe and all the other ones, and they predate everything, and they're like, wow, I didn't realize back in the days of us hunting and gathering we could build stuff like that. Like, well, maybe history's different. Well, we're not willing to accept that. It's like that with the Hefel. Like, well, I don't know. Like, if they're...
It sounds like horror shit, bro.
I don't know if they're related to mankind. Like, but anyway, it was said that they were out of the forest long before any other race. And they were out of the forest before the oh god, what's the word? The birth of mankind and all that shit.
Right.
They saw all that happen. They have the oldest history of any race, next to the Anaku, on the entire known world. Now, saying that, they have this kind of kinship. They are the first beings, the test children, I guess, if you will, of
Oapek and Dove.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, well, close. We almost did it, but let them go. Anyway, so I don't know if they have a connection to it. Now, where is Dove the strongest in the entire map? Whenever we talk about it,
there's really two candidates.
It's the Trinity Force is one, because that's the first time he's heard by any being. Like, they, in my mind, they're all doing this, but they're not really speaking to them. They're like all upstairs conspiring about it, and we're like, wow, like
it's like a psychedelic experience.
Yeah. We
now,
don't have any clue what this
they're
is.
all upstairs. What if they're all downstairs? What if the majority of the war for the Earth happened inside and under it?
I think it did. I think it was an actual... And also, like, we talk about war, in my mind, it's not necessarily just great battles, it's what you're talking about. it is a great war, but there's more than just killing each other during it. That's the climax. That is the climactic height of it all. And so, yes, it did kind of happen down within the earthly realm, we could call it, or whatever, even though it's not Earth. The closest point from which Dove... Okay, so when... Maybe here's a thing that might help. When it comes to communication to a being, a Titan or an Aeon, do they have to... Okay, could I be Dove?
Right.
And can I just pick out, let me go over to Dubois, let me talk to that fucking fat guy eating the cheesecake. Can I talk to him? Or is it have to do with some sort of like...
I'm going to be honest, I picture the Titans entirely as eldritch beings. You're not hearing their words, you're hearing their dreams.
Okay. What about an Aeon then? I'm just wondering,
Different.
like, can I...
You're feeling that.
Do you have to be open to it? You know how they say God can speak to you, but you can just ignore it?
Yeah.
But you can pay attention and like look at the world through his eyes, essentially?
Yes, I believe making yourself spiritually sensitive has an impact on how these things are received.
So like that's kind of how it would be. Like if you were to talk to that guy in Dubois, he might think like, oh, Velour, our creator. If anything. Like let's say.
Oh, totally. Yeah, they could have, because Dove, this is our meta names for them. They could have a million names for them.
Yeah, that's the.
And that's just Theresia might be called something entirely separate, but like they have a concept of this was the wife of the creator,
Yeah.
and that's like a shared concept.
Like
but
we
might
understand
call
what that might mean.
We might call her Dulaxia,
Or
you guys over there call her Theresia. But
the name of the moon's Dree. So who named the moon?
Tantorum.
So that's what they call her, Dree.
But they think
Or
everything
Gaia.
has a spirit, then that's not really relevant.
Yeah, it's all depending. That's why Dulag and Opaque.
And so on top of that, on top of all of this,
Okay.
I know how they all became conduits. They're not all conduits of the Forgotten King. Eris is. Who else is? Aya.
I've been thinking about her more too.
So who's Vathia? Who does Vathia come into contact with? Dove.
Yeah.
Just like he was supposed to in the very beginning before this all got complicated. In a moment of spiritual weakness, he's looking for an answer, and he's wherever Dove happens to be. He ends up there, and Dove gets him. He not just gets him, wherever he ends up, he sees Dove physically. And Dove can't do anything, but he's not hiding anymore. He's found his champion.
Why?
Because Dove, Theresia is full of rage. She wants to punish who hurt her husband. Dove is still looking for his friend. That's all. Dove's only real prerogative is looking for his friend. The Slop King isn't redeemed because everything works out la-di-da. He's redeemed because he's confronted by Eris and he sees his brother again for a minute.
Yeah.
And he knows he was lied to.
What about the fractal nature of the Forgotten King through all the people?
Fucking what about it? It's still there.
It is.
Yeah.
Like through Vathia and Alastra and Aya, like it's still a fractal part of his personality. It's just the true Okay, so that's why. Okay.
And this
Never
is
mind.
where.
So
this
Eris is the conduit of him.
Yes.
He has to harness all of this to bring it back.
He is.
That's what empathy is.
He's the avatar or the champion of Oapake himself. And the biggest lie Thies told was that this was all going to be about Oapake. Him and Dove were already taking steps. The circle stones in the south weren't made for Dove. They weren't made for Oapake. They were made for Theresia. The circle stones in the north were made for fucking Egg Beovac. And the ones in Supernia were made for Thies. Thies is a lying, selfish prick.
Yeah.
Everybody was already being considered. The only person who didn't have a conduit station made was Oapake. That's why he's so hard to reach. Because he was doing himself last. He was making everybody else a place to sit. And then he was kicked out of the room.
So the Great War happens, and then the master plan is hatched. We'll go into the nitty-gritty when it fucking comes up.
Right.
But it was hatched.
Yep.
The plan was hatched. She was sent here. Opaque. Explain to me what you think happens with Opaque after the plan is being hatched.
Like immediately after Therese is gone, he's told Therese is dead.
Right. And then he does that whole meditative thing to find her. This doesn't make sense. You wouldn't leave me. And then basically, you said the cursing happens because of a Beovak and all that stuff. His spirit essence is trapped in the sun, to keep it simple, even though it's more than that. His body was then taken and placed in the Tree of Life. And
Yes.
like a ward, some sort of magical ward that the Titans know that the Aeons can't fuck with.
Thys and Beovak has to some degree. Thys and whatever Titans he and malicious Aeons he's slowly been working with as well begin. His body wasn't moved to trap him. He was moved back to the Trinity Forest by Dove to try to keep him safe.
And guarded by the Anaku.
Guarded by loyal, faithful Anaku
Or King Preldug.
and the Dizarim.
The Forsaken Ones. The last of them after the
And
Purge.
and Thys and his lackeys couldn't beat Dove.
They can't do anything with that forest for some reason. It seems to always be a thing. Like we'd always talk about, like why in the forest can they hide? Why does mankind hide for so long in the forest? Seems like there's a block there.
There was. Then Thys does, because Thys is not strong, but Thys is clever. So what Thys does is he turns mankind on the king. Because he can't beat Dove. He
And
can't
that's the
beat
story
Anaku.
of the snake in the portal. That's the story of Tanias and Odysseus and all that, right?
Because that was his only way in. They're the only one without their fucking maker here. They're vulnerable.
Right. King.
But the Anaku in the forest, up until Dove disappears, they're holding the line against giants and demons and dragons and all that. Nothing can quite get in. Dove's in control. But the moment mankind kills the king, that's it. We've got nothing to defend now. Run.
Now his real plan begins. Now he has kind of free reign. And then thusly, the story slowly begins.
Mankind spreads out. Thys sets about taking control of them for himself. Anything directed at Aok Beovak gets pulled back up to Thys because Aok is submissive to him. The only problem is Dove. We'll find him at some point.
So, the Serpentine Order, and let's say Aok Beovak's minions. Aok Beovak's minions are I've said the Asuk. They're just one minion. That's just one group of them. And they're just shapeshifters that are infiltrated a Denian high society to trick them over the years into worshipping a Beovak just to keep him going. Just keep on fucking life support. The cursing is slowly withering away. He's turning into the Slop King. So it's like that's like a slow process that happened, I imagine, and just getting worse. But this process is keeping him alive. Now you're saying he's working for Thys in controlling all of mankind, or do you think he's like, in his own way, selfishly like, well, fuck Thys?
A little bit of both.
Do you think he's fully submissive, or just like
He's
starting
fully
to see the
submissive
light?
because he's weak, not because he likes Thys.
Okay, so he's like, I have to do this.
Yes, it's not like Thys pretended to be a good guy after the fact.
What about the Serpentine Order? The Serpentine Order was created by, let's keep it short. The Serpentine Order was like trying to solve the problem of the Fade, and they're the ones that are doing the fucked up testing on mankind. They need Eris because he is the answer to everything that's going on. So what is, and in my mind, they were working under Thys. So, but they seem to be at odds. Well, no, they're not. Never mind. It makes perfect sense. I already answered my own question. Well, no, I didn't.
If you get rid of the connection to the king, the souls of mankind slowly start dwindling back into the forest, and empowers the Anaku to take their planet back.
They found a way to hijack that.
Yep. That's their short-sighted view of it, at least. The
and
reality
the life of
is,
mankind keeps them alive because the soul of mankind was once the soul of the Anaku, and that's why they don't fade with it.
Yep.
Maybe their past lives.
And that's what continues to enrage them. They recognize people that used to be them in mankind. They're not baby killers because they're just evil. They're baby killers because
If they
they look at that and they go, that's Ted. And they're trying to get him back into the right body.
If they can. Do you think the Serpentine Order? No, because Quirtus, who was once a member of the Serpentine Order, is no longer, and it's leading to problems. So there has to be a divide. So is that the beginning of the rebellion against Thais on the behalf of Beowulf?
Yes. But it has to start when Beowulf is confronted with Eris.
Because in the beginning of the story, the actual book, I made it clear that Quirtus is chasing Eris, but that's different, and he works for Beowulf, than Cyprus luring him away.
Yes.
They have different goals.
Yes.
It's almost like me and you are working together. We want this one thing to happen, but there it is.
And
finally,
then,
I'm like, well, I'll have it, and I'll make sure we go. And you're like, well, no, I know we're working for the same. I'm like, I know, but I'm going to do this. It's got to be that kind of thing.
Beowulf, upon realizing, because here's the tension about this kid, right? That Thais needs him. Thais needs to get him. His agents need to get him, right? And Beowulf recognizes the fear. There's only one thing he knows that scares him this much. He has to know. It's not, I need to get him so I can be powerful. It's, I have to know. How many years have I just accepted this? How many years after I've done this thing that I don't have faith in anymore, I don't think I was right, that was my brother, that if he's still here and this kid's a sign of that, he's willing to give it all if that's the case. But he has to know first. Because he's put so much into what he's already done. To turn on all of it, he has to know. And then it'll happen shortly after. Vathia comes face to face with Dove. Vathia comes face to face with Dove.
Kevin was working on that too, but he stopped.
Near the beginning of book 2, end of book 1, that's what that's what he finds in the mountains.
When he's up in the mountains, which his part, yeah, that's where Kevin stopped, is he's confronting him.
And that's just it, that's what the Hefel show him. That's what the Hefel are doing. They're working for Dove. They're protecting Dove. The reason nobody can quite get past him.
Yeah.
And that's the whole reason Thais wants Vathia to believe they're fucking evil. That they're kind of on the other team. This is where the tension's coming from. Come on, blood, germs, and steel. Go get them.
Yeah.
And instead, the Hefel grab Vathia, fucking straight up can kidnap his ass.
Mm-hmm.
They take him down to some big... It's on fucking the butthole of the mountains. It goes into a huge mountain chain with 2 giant volcanoes.
Yeah.
They'll lead him right down there. And what does he find? Dove. And Dove sits him down, and it's not a fun confrontation. It's like if Cthulhu just woke up, peeked up from a deep fucking mountain and went, we need to talk. And be like, oh fuck. And there's just a moment where Dove says, if you just let me in, I can make it right. Give me the power to save your people. And then shortly thereafter that, the betrayal in the south happens, and Alistair's at his weakest, and he's broken, and he's fucking pissed. He's just full of hate and rage, and Theresia goes to him.
Yeah, you explained before, and I found some recordings. You explained before that there's a moment where it's like a regime change almost. And it's like almost like they're on top, and then his wife is taken out of the room. He doesn't know what's going on. All of a sudden, someone tries to fucking kill him. Does not happen. Later finds out it is his, I think, wife or something like that. That was the betrayer of the situation. Like, betrayed him, right? I'm trying to remember. You painted this whole story before of that moment, and you're saying that in that moment, he was like he was looking at his own reflection. Like you said, there was like sounds like kind of happening. In that moment would have been her calling out to him. And would he have been familiar with this? Would he know what this is? Or would he think like, fucking, what's that?
It would be at least described as a... You know how we have ways to describe the presence of God or the feeling of the Holy Spirit or whatever? It'd be kind of like that for them.
Like you just kind of like, okay.
He's not familiar with it, but he thinks he knows what it is.
But
type
if you
deal.
hear, you won't forget it. You won't think, well, that might have just been a woman that I thought of before.
Yeah.
You know what it is.
Got stabbed, I'm hearing shit.
So she saves him knowing his purpose.
And it will also be in that moment, coincidentally at the exact same time, much to These's horror, that Eris is confronting Aok Beovac. And Aok Beovac realizes he's been lied to, and originally in my head, the crux of this betrayal was that Atrovia's kind of fueling Haradra Kirko, and it's Geralt who's kind of like the crux of this stopping, because he doesn't turn when he's supposed to. But I don't even want him there now. He's off doing his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Aok Beovac's servants. What are they called?
Which ones? So there's
The
like,
infiltrators.
The infiltrators called the reason they're called Asuk is because it was like a, what is that called when you take like letters out of a sentence and you just, not an anagram, but like,
You just mix them up.
no, like, I don't know, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but like the Americans, the British, and the Russians, we'll just call them the ABRs.
Right.
What is that called? An anagram or something? Anyway, that's all it is.
Yeah, abbreviation.
Well, yeah,
Something.
basically. But that Asuk stands for that. That's not like, and we are the race called Asuk. That's just kind of their order that they're working within. I've just always called them shapeshifters. Now, they're different shapeshifters than Gulduf. Gulduf shapeshifters are from the actual body of the Slop King. Creates a little person, and they're made of slop. That's how they're able to shapeshift. These guys are just a little different. Just call them the shapeshifters. Gulduf are the soldiery ones, the ones that are like the grunts work.
Right. So how many of those are in the South?
The higher ones? Well,
The Asuk.
if they're infiltrated an Adenian society and they've been doing it, from what I'm going to assume is from
Since pretty much the beginning of time.
No, only the late 1300s.
Oh.
So not, it took a while for it to actually really happen. For whatever reason. I imagine it's because he was making them. I mean, because he was so weak. And that's my logic behind it. So if it took that long to kind of get them over there and to trick them and say, we've come from another land, we are the keepers that you describe of old. I actually did a video about it. What they kind of, how they would have come across. They would have thought like, oh my God, these are these mythical beings that are here. These are like Arthur and his knights are finally here to get rid of it. Like that's all it would have been. They just accepted it. If that happened in the late 1300s, and they would have risen to power within 300 years, by the mid 1400s, what's kind of going on in the South? Are you pretty wide open there, or are you set in stone? No?
That's during Tantorum's occupation.
Wow, then that's probably how it would have happened. We have that written down somewhere.
The Order of the Owl.
They enter the South in 1350.
The Order of the Owl. Remember that kind of merchant guild master order I was telling you about? It was based in Quran. It plays this underhanded role in politics.
That's them?
That could be. And it could be this entire time.
Quran, you said?
Yeah. And it could be this entire time that they were working with the Serpentine Order. That's how Roger got so established. That's how this threat level was established. The Serpentine Order, the Asuk, putting everything perfectly in place. We're going to wipe them all out. They're outnumbered 2-1. They're fucked. But then all at once, the moment the plan is going, it's different this time.
Yeah.
Aok Beovac decides it's different this time.
I imagine him just kind of when he has Eris, I kind of thought about this moment and what I would do, but now that you're here, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't say it like that, but in his mind he's thinking that. Now I don't know. because you do seem like him. And that, like we talk about, you asked me, does he have a redemption? Does he redeem himself? And I was like, I like to think that he almost does. That right there.
And it doesn't have to be like pure altruism. It can just be a moment of
just humanism.
Just Theis isn't going to take this for me.
Yeah, it's like, the idea of that is just like a coined term you say a lot, is a real human moment. Of like, I have a duty, if you will, to a master, if you will. I also kind of betrayed someone that I love the most because, like, I mean, he's had years to think about this. And, like, to see, like, I've, like, destroyed everything to help a crazy man destroy another one. And at this moment here, I have in my hands the thing they both covet. And I almost want to destroy it. I almost do. It's human.
Right. Because it's hurt.
But at the same time, he's a representative of my brother, and I almost want to cherish it, though. I want to crush it in this hand, but in this hand, I want it to flower and grow. And I don't know what to do. I thought I would know. I thought I knew when Quirtus dropped him before me, and here we go, finally. Theis is probably going to give me a high five later. But I don't know what to do now.
But he does know one thing. He's not going to let Theis make that decision.
Yeah, it's like, it's almost like, and that it's a redemption in a small way. That doesn't mean, like, and he becomes the good guy, and him and Eris team up, and they fight crime. I let him go. It's just small. That's it. I mean, he doesn't make you a good guy. But at the same time, it makes him a human being. Which is all the Aeons needed to be in the first place.
Lyria doesn't get burned.
I've been thinking about that.
Lyria doesn't get burned. They worship.
Lyrians?
Yeah.
Oh my god. If you watch the video. Alright, so, by the way, luckily I do have the videos if you have these questions. They're on there. The old ways, they would, obviously the Titans, I don't know if they have chosen a Titan necessarily, or do they look at it like the Christians of the Catholic persuasion would. They're saints. Like, even though they're not creators, that's how they're all good. There's these, but there's all these ones. The new ways, they got away from that. They became mercantile based. They became Aeonic. That's why that there's a problem between them. The Abbey are the ones getting them back, so it's through the Abbey that the Serpentine work. If they are, would this help if they had a certain Aeon that they worshipped, is what you're asking?
It could.
My
only question is their involvement in what's currently happening now. Do we worry about them at all?
They are a problem because, as I laid out in the video, there's a power struggle going on in the courts of Lyria. You have the King Doreen.
I remember some of this, yep.
Who is kind of, along with his faithful people, are saying the new ways are okay. It's okay to embrace Aeons.
And then you have this super
fine.
Traditional religious sector that's very...
They're like, hell no, it isn't. And so those are the ones that work with the Serpentine. The Serpentine send over their, I always forget that word. Not Inquisition, but dudes that are just going over there to preach like the heresies of it all. And you fall under us and this and that. The Abbey are like aligning themselves with these people and saying like, yes, this makes sense. And they're like, oh great that you're doing that. Get rid of that king down there. He's a fucking problem. He's an Aeonic lover and he's a fucking problem. So it's like, that's the division. It's the struggle in Lyria is embracing the new ways, even though Tantorum's kind of a fucking asshole, or going back to the old ways. Being a true, like, mindless husk in the hive mind that is an Aeon. An Anaku. That's what they struggle with. Are they a threat? They're a fucking threat if the Abbey win. But the problem is, and what I tried to create was, if Tantorum would just drop their shit, they'd realize that would be the best friend they could ever have in the whole fucking world.
Right, because they're trying to be.
They literally are okay. It's just Tantorum and them, they just keep catching each other masturbating. They keep like, damn it, I didn't want to see that.
Motherfucker.
Like, that's their problem that they're having. It's like when they left the forest, they ran into just some random ass fucking oh god, Tannic people, and they're like, well, fucking, they chased us for hundreds of miles and shit. Like, fuck these guys. Like, that must have been all of Tantorum. Like, no, it's like
like
if you
10
watch,
dudes.
if you watch that movie of like from the 70s, where the dueling banjo movie, they go down to the hillbillies. I keep forgetting the name of that fucking movie. Deliverance. Have you ever seen Deliverance?
No.
Well, there's like the part where they first go down in the south and they find some real true rednecks, and then they rape one of their friends in front of them, and so they kill them, and they think there's a conspiracy that all of them are out to get them, and they're running and running and running, and there's like, it's actually a couple, like a family, and like almost like they thought it was the entirety of the South that was trying to get them, but it was like, no, like there was no conspiracy to kill you because you're Northerners. Like, he just ran into a couple of fucking retard cousins down there that raped one of your friends, so they had to hide this whole thing. It's like that. That's how I imagine it. It's like a misunderstanding.
Hatfields and McCoys.
Yeah, they don't have to be enemies. The threat is what Tantorum creates in its mind. Like, when they stumble upon 464, you guys and them, well, it's in Lyrian territory. I don't give a fuck. That's the problem. It's like that. They're only a threat by happenstance.
Right.
And Quinlan's over there trying to, like, fix this shit.
So what if he works for Aik Beovac?
I don't know. Because I always imagine...
What if that's why he couldn't put mankind down?
Maybe he did, but... So, do you remember what the Nainiran are? I don't need to explain any of that. They're like the Gandalfs, the whatever the fuck those guys were called. I forgot.
The
Race of the Wizards and Lord of the Rings. Whatever the fuck they're basically that, right?
Yep.
They were sent by the same people that the Titans were sent by. I always just call them the Observers. You know what I mean? Like, cause it's just like a very, like, who are they? Are these like men sitting with suits on in a room watching all this stuff happen on a screen? Are they a collection of gods? I don't fucking know. They might just be people. They might be a corporate entity for as far as we know.
Right.
So that's neither here nor there. Now the Nainiran were sent to, like, okay, Titans are kind of fucking up a little bit, and the Aeons are too. You're gonna go in there and you're just gonna write all this. And they had those like weird masks and stuff, and those masks were in direct control, like connection with them. They only lasted a little bit, but they were sent over here just like the Titans, like, fix this on the side of the Titans. So clearly the Observers were not on the sides of the Aeon. The Aeon were not a thing, and all connected to the Observers. They're a separate entity. Was it a rival? Was it the real god? I don't goddamn know. I like to leave it vague because, you know, it'll be explained later. Anyway, when they came in, they were meant to help the Titans, and they did for a while. And then when the war
Like
was,
everything. For a while.
when the war was over, they're like, I have the little short story of Quinlan I was going to read it at some point in the channel. He just is like, oh yeah, we're just tasked. There's something going on. I don't know what it is, but we're going to go look for it. We're in the woods right now. You know, we're in the Trinity Forest. Apparently all my other brothers are hearing certain reports in other forests too. They're going to go kind of see what's happening. And then that's when Quinlan stumbles upon the creation of mankind, and he doesn't kill them. And then they go on. I don't think they were ever tasked to, like, okay, mankind's been created, go kill him, Quinlan. I just think that they didn't know what was going on. They stumbled upon it. Quinlan's like, okay, we're gonna keep this quiet. That is seen as, in my the video with Atrovia, and I kind of talk a little bit with Lyria. Quinlan is, and a little bit of Thefel actually, seen as kind of like a betrayer of the Anaku people. The true Anaku, not the Lyrians, but the true Anaku. He's a betrayer. He did the one thing that he didn't do the one thing he was supposed to do.
You could have stopped it.
As for his allegiance, I kind of imagine that he was truly aligned with the Whisper. If there are any allies that he has, like hardline allies. Quinlan's the kind of guy that he'll be allies with anyone for his own goals. And his own goals are to do what the Whisper's bidding. So, could he be with Aobevox? Sure, but it's not like hardline, like, and whatever he does,
He's independent. He's not a servant.
Yeah, I can't think of the word, but yeah, he's his own master.
Now, being that he is like this powerful wizard race, Could he bind himself in a psychic sort of sense to a being like that?
Who, Aok Beothuk?
Quinlan.
Could Quinlan to Aok Beothuk?
Yes. Could he hear Aok Beothuk from across the continent?
See, I wonder how much those masks still work. Those masks, and there's a video of us talking about it.
Well, Myron still wears one.
They're like that psychedelic, you used to describe it as seeing Jesus.
Right.
So in that mask, and there's some sort of chemical or something, I don't remember, but it basically allows you to speak with these, because we're imagining that the Aeons and the Titans, like, they don't speak intelligible, like, you can't just sit here with one. It's like talking to like a fucking angel. It doesn't know English, you know what I mean? Like the weird fucking visuals of old angels and shit, or like you said, the Eldritch Terrors and all that.
Yep.
It's like that. This mask is like, I can communicate. That's why later when fucking Alistair has it, that's why it's meaningful. He's literally talking to them now, finally, whoever it is. I don't know how well that mask works for Quinlan. Because there was always this thought in my mind that over the years, these things aren't as strong as they used to be. Because the power, the technology comes from another realm and they can't get it again.
Has Quinlan been around since the birth of mankind? He's
been around, like, he had, I don't have a defined timeline, but let's just say he's been around since the War of the Gods.
So would he physically recognize Opaque, Dove, and Theresia and
yes,
Thais?
And yes. Not necessarily a Beothuk because of his weird changing, but if he was keeping up...
Beothuk's physically here, he could go see him.
But he would know that it is him.
Right.
He's just like, wow, you've changed.
So if Quinlan's down there, and he's Lyrian, and at this point in time, he's aiding and abetting Haradra Kirko, because that's the goal of Supernia, and the Whisper wants to put things right, but doesn't know how, and he's communing with Aok Beothuk, who knows all of this, and knows Thais has deceived him, but doesn't know what to do about it, and he's just desperately trying to survive. And for a minute, he's in that room, and all this shit's about to go down. Sorry. Swallowed funny. All this shit's about to go down. Could Aok Beothuk show him, all at once, that's Theresia. That man you guys are about to kill, that's Theresia.
Aok Beothuk showing Quinlan that, who is Theresia?
Alistair.
That's him, or that's her, him.
Because that's him going, if this fucking kid is opaque, then everything else I thought was the case is true. Everything else I've been seeing, everything else I've been watching, everything else I was just afraid to know.
The Forgotten King is still working. So you're saying that, like, Alistar is a conduit through Theresia?
Alistair's a conduit for Theresia, Eris is a conduit for Opaque, Vathia is a conduit for Dove. Somebody's a conduit for Thais, but fuck them.
Well, that would probably be, oh my god, what's her name? Plateau or something, I don't remember, but Quartus's mom.
Yes.
Quartus's mom.
Which means that Quartus is in all essence, it's not Quinlan down there, it's Quartus. Quartus never catches Eris. Quinlan does.
Yeah, Quartus never gets to, he almost gets him.
He always gets away, so he goes south, gets a new job. Go put down this threat to Thais. Thais wants these things gone, go get rid of them. Somebody else already did it. Get out of here. Quinlan's got him. Quinlan's bringing him to me. You go get rid of that problem. Turn man on itself.
That span where Eris is going from the Hathel Mountains down to Trinity and having that thing then get captured, a certain amount of months. That should be that time frame to which, well, there's something else here. There isn't.